We are not chasing the bag. We are the bag.
This is Village for All Seasons, episode 8. I'm Dan.
I'm Andrew.
I'm Ben.
So nothing happened this week, right?
Yeah, I have a question. What is happening with this new worst genocide happening in Syria? This is an honest question.
I was reading about that this morning. I thought the leader kind of had things under control. And then I read yesterday, it's actually like remnants of an old guard that they're like pushing out, but I don't know how true that is. I really would like to know more too. Dan, do you know?
Yeah, I was just reading the Times coverage, which, as we all know, they're biased, but it said, yeah, the pro-Assad remnants started fighting in, I guess, was it Idlib maybe? And it's just kind of chaos from there. But everything I've seen on like my Twitter feed from people like Ronnie Kowalik, who we just interviewed, and some other, I guess, like anti-Western imperialist voices, you could label them, I guess,
Hmm.
blame most of it expectedly on the new regime. So yeah, fog of war.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
only thing I'm really seeing from it is people on my social media who, don't have the time of day to comment on anything on the genocide in Gaza, but they're using this as like a got you moment of like, oh, so much to say when the Jews are doing something, but nothing to say for the, I don't know, 60 Christians that got killed in Syria. Like it's like a big,
Yeah.
like it's an epic own. I found that even some of my more apolitical friends who, clearly have Zionists in the family or something, posting about that, and it's like this is I find that a very funny argument to be like, well, you care so much about our genocide, but what about this other smaller genocide that we
What about these six
just heard about
Christians?
just now?
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
it's that phrase. It's like if aliens were to come down to Earth, they would question why you were so focused on Israel,
I've
right?
never I've never heard that.
Oh
Yeah,
my
I don't
God.
know. Uh,
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, we all know that Hasbro's running really, really thin, but that's really, really scraping the barrel, isn't it?
I mean, wasn't this kind of expected?
I kind of feel like your algorithm is just it's showing you these accounts to manufacture outrage.
Yeah, it absolutely is. My algorithm is fully like a lot of, pro-Palestinian leftist accounts and stuff, and people that I want to hear, and all the stuff that I'm shown, especially on Twitter, is like the most virulent, racist, anti-immigration people in England.
Mm.
And the same kind of Zionist, and that's it. And I think it's just, whoever my FBI handler is who's following my account is just trying to make my life. Yeah, I think that's my personal psyop is they're just hoping that I,
Ben's at the beach today. Let's
that
go fuck him up.
yeah, that I make a bomb vest and walk into Piccadilly Circus. I'm not going to do that, by the way.
Well,
Uh,
TBD, TBD.
we-
Uh,
Never say
we'll
never.
have to cut that.
so it's certainly that no, we're keeping that's a clip.
Oh yeah, I do want to talk about the Democrats and their social media fight against Trump. I mean, I know
Oh
that
my
like
God. Yeah.
the dead horse we beat, but
Jesus.
man, this Rosa Delario one feels like elder abuse. Like it's really ugh.
Yeah, I
What
don't.
staffer?
People who friends of mine who listen to this show often like have always criticized me about spending so much of our time talking about this stuff, and it's like, well, how are we not supposed to talk about this? It is the best content to shit on every week. There's
Hold on.
just so much of it. It's harder to keep up with than Trump's administration. Like the shitty resistance really
Love the
feels.
zone. Smash that play button.
Yo,
This is how I feel saying Riz.
serving Connecticut's third district. It's time to enter your dark academia Congress era. All right, besties. House appropriation is a money making time. We are not chasing the bag. We are the bag. Democrats
Ugh.
buy smoother for government funding. It's giving. It's giving. So Sigma, main character energy. But Republicans' project 2025 is mad stuff. Eliminating the Department of Education, negative aura points. Basically, the biggest phantom tax on the environment, on your education, and your rights. Big L, posting it online, buddy. Democrats understood the assignment, but go on. See how I keep you informed? Very cutesy, very demure.
Okay, wait.
Oh
Just
man.
immediate reaction is like I feel like I've been using some slang wrong. Is Rosa DeLorio using it right
Mm.
and I'm using it wrong, or am I using it right and she's using it wrong?
She does not know what any of that means.
Wh-
This is sort of like this is like if someone gave you a foreign language to read out, like it's like phonetically spelt out, so you can pronounce it, but you don't know what you're
hmm
saying.
Yeah, it's like their bills. They're just handed a script and then they push it through. They just regurgitate
Yeah,
it.
I just when I talk about the slang here, like have you guys ever heard of phantom tax?
Yeah.
Okay, Andrew, explain phantom tax.
Highbrow, I would say like cost externalities, like in a economic sense. Uh,
Okay, Jeff Sachs.
and then in a normal person, it would just be like, yeah, you're just kind of shifting around like money or you're getting you're paying for it one way or another.
I don't know who's wrong, but AI overview tells me phantom tax,
I'm probably wrong.
FANUM tax, is internet slang term that refers to when someone takes food from a friend. The term originated with Phantom, a streamer who would jokingly take bites of food from other content creators during his streams. Um,
Damn.
yes.
Okay, I thought it was phantom tax, like a
Oh,
mysterious aura, like somehow magically something like got disappeared.
oh, right, right. Well, that's what
that's
I
what
thought
I
too. I
thought you
thought
were saying.
AI, the generated captions here, I thought they were wrong, but no, Phantom tax, FANUM, is internet slang that
Well, fuck me. I don't know.
none
I'm
of us
not
knew about.
12 years old, and neither is she. Okay. Why is the senator saying, or is she senator or Congress? Please be Congress or
Uh,
House.
Congresswoman,
This cannot be. She said district, I think.
she's a
So
rep. She's a rep. Yeah,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
82.
Instead of actually hiring or like allowing young people to be elected, they're like, fuck it, we'll just say skibbity in a video.
Oh, by the way, on her overview, it says candidate for U.S. House Connecticut District 3 general election 2026.
Mm.
Going nowhere.
She's got purple hair.
Can we get Doge on the line and just get rid of the House of Representatives? What do they do? Like, do they actually do anything? If this is what they're doing with their time, we don't need them. And yeah, it's so embarrassing. There's no way she clearly does not have any idea what she's saying, and neither do I. I mean, it's that is just we're like what would you say? That is alphabet soup of stupid Zoomer words coming from a purple hair person. It's like they really are a controlled opposition, aren't they? Like they're here to lose on purpose. I oscillate back and forth every day of whether or not I think that's true. And seeing a video like this is like that's a psyop to make people hate the Democrats as much as possible, right?
Dude, the way she's walking down the hall is so like decrepit and like I think you can be an old person and govern. Like it's a cerebral thing. You don't need to like fucking make a bank shot, but it certainly doesn't help to campaign with someone like this. The internet sees this and they're like, wow, Democrats are fucking losers. Maybe MAGA is the new punk.
Yeah.
Yeah, like this is the thing. It is punk and it is fun and this is just so embarrassing. It's like I want nothing to do with that person.
Sanders is getting, at least 10,000 people coming to these speeches. I think he calls it the Oligarchs tour. I don't know. Have you guys been
Yeah, I think
seeing
so.
come
Something
up?
like that.
Yeah, I'm still really mad at Sanders for probably one word that he said. Well, one sentence that he said is thanking the Shanies for saving democracy.
I didn't hear that
Yeah,
one. I
I
don't know, man.
think
People were
I
desperate.
think we all need to stop listening to Bernie Sanders when he is just the absolute epitome of coming out of the woodwork once it's safe to speak about the things that his base used to care, that his base cares about. But he's a total traitor. He is a complete lapdog at this point. And I actually, speaking of him, I just wanted to read out this tweet. I don't know if you guys saw this, but Bernie tweeted this out in response to the whole, much ado about nothing with Trump and Zelensky. For 250 years, the United States has supported democracy. Now, in the middle of a horrific war that Putin started, Trump is turning his back on Ukraine and democracy, all to the benefit of a brutal dictator. I mean, that tells me everything I need to know about Bernie Sanders. Also, this is a great example of where what is it?
Wait, before you move to the next one,
Yeah.
okay? Why is that ruffle your feathers? Or why?
I why does it ruffle my feathers?
Yeah, yeah.
Um, to try and say with a straight face that the U.S. has supported democracy throughout
Oh, okay.
its
Okay. I was just wondering
250
what part of
years
that.
is
Gotcha.
such laughable bullshit. I mean, take aside how you feel about Zelensky or Putin or the war in Ukraine. I mean, I think they're there to, be criticizing Putin. I don't think they're there that like this means Donald Trump is in the pocket of Putin. I think
Season one.
that's that's a childish assessment, and you can look back to our interview with Peter Hitchens about why. But to say with a straight face that the U.S. has always supported democracy is such a laughably false statement. The U.S. has done nothing but subvert other countries'
Yeah.
democracies. That is
Go to
the
Chile and
business.
talk to him about it.
Yeah, yeah. We don't have enough
Iran.
time. Yeah, Guatemala, everywhere in South America.
Yeah,
Fucking
yeah.
Russia.
Yeah,
Russia
this
is
side of the hemisphere. Yeah, Russia.
like this is the thing when people have short memories. You know who gave us Putin? The United fucking States gave us Putin, and then he just and then he didn't bow down to the United States in the way they wanted to. So this idea that the United States has always supported democracy no matter what is just a lie. And I don't know what the point is of trying to make that assumption that is so demonstrably false to your base. Who believes that?
I really do think Bernie, especially after 2016, feels like he's holding the torch of the progressive movement, and if he doesn't align with the Democratic Party, he can never change the Democratic Party from the inside. I think that
Yeah.
that old adage is saying it's like you don't change the Democratic Party, the Democratic Party changes you. I think that is true, and I've given up on
Mm,
the party. What do you guys think?
I agree. Dude, there's no other option, but I kind of agree, and that's why I feel so hopeless. It's just like I don't think
Yeah.
the Democrat at this point, after two botched and one, I guess Biden won, but at what cost? You
Mhm.
know, I think we all agree that it would have been better if Trump just had a second term at this point.
Oh, a
Um,
hundred percent. Yeah.
yeah,
It would have been so much better if he would have just been a two-term president in a row. He would not have the power he has right now. He would not have the popular support he has right now. And he
The
wouldn't have
movement would
gotten
have died.
anything done. What?
hmm
I think the MAGA movement would have died.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
think the MAGA movement's gonna I
I don't
think the
know.
MAGA movement's gonna die after him
Yeah.
either way. I don't think it survives after Trump. I don't think Trump wants it to.
Yeah.
I'd
But
rather
yeah,
see the Democrats devolve into factions and have as little power as they have now, but at least have representation.
I was talking to my one of my friends about this, who's like kind of a partisan dim, and we were talking about like Manchin and Cinema and how like they were basically used as kind of like scapegoats for not moving forward any Biden's proposals on the progressive agenda. And
Yeah,
I thought to myself, I'm like, yeah, they declared themselves independent. At least Cinema did. I don't know if Manchin ever did, but anyways, I'm like, I guess that's my
he
dream.
threatened to.
Congress being just filled with independents rather than
Yep,
party affiliates.
yep. Way
Congress
rather.
doesn't matter anyway. It's a fake organization, doesn't do anything.
Well, I was talking, my wife and I talk about this a lot, and she's, of course, like many people in Massachusetts, like fired up now that Trump is in office, and all this
Mm,
stuff. And I was like, again, like I'm not aligned with Trump at all. I'm not going to defend Trump at all. Would never vote for Trump at all. But when you have a Congress that is so bought and paid for, having
Mhm.
a president who is just going to buck a lot of this, I don't know what you call it, like deep state alignment, military industrial complex alignment. I don't know. I think that's probably healthy for the system. I don't think Trump is really healthy for the system, but maybe he could be if you were on the left and you think that there's a space for a new, not hashtag resistance, but actual oppositional party to emerge ideologically.
Trump could be, not in the short term, obviously, but in the long term, Trump could be very healthy. And the only way that happens is if everybody who is liberal leaning, left leaning, abandons the Democratic Party and builds something else. I believe that. If people could give up on changing the Democratic Party, because I agree, they're not going to change. And I think that makes them so much worse because you will never have the opposition you want. So if you actually care about left-wing policies, I think it is vital, it is incumbent on you to abandon Democrats. They're
Mhm.
never gonna love you back. They are not. Look at Bernie.
That's
Look at
true.
Bernie. I was talking about this with my mom last night about like AOC and the squad and Bernie and all these, they continually bend the knee to the establishment, and the Democrats can do nothing but shit on them. Now, I don't have any love for AOC. AOC is never going to be forgiven by the Democratic Party for the sins of her like first election. It's not going to happen. And she's just going to keep tacking right for the rest of her career. And they're still going to be mad at her. And it's like take note of that because you are never going to get anything you want from these people. Like I've said before, like they only want to win on their own terms. They're not going to bend. They
Mm.
would rather lose 100 times out of 100 than change their prerogative, which their prerogative is to their donor base.
Sad but true. Yeah, I agree with everything you just said, but I have a hard time accepting it. Yeah, we don't have a multi-party system. We don't have a parliamentary system. We have a
Yeah.
just the actual structures of our government rely on majority. Like there's no coalition
Hmm.
building. There are subsections of the Republican Party. It's become a bit more homogenous, but like every election there's like a new, like caucus, like Freedom Caucus, whatever, and they somehow seem to form more of a coalition than the Democrats do. Where the
Yeah.
Democrats are just like you bend the knee, you break people down, and it's more less about why you were elected, why you're represented, and you're like, all right, well, you're here now, and this is our homogenous agenda. Is that fair to say? That's kind of like what you're getting at.
You're saying the Republicans have the homogeneous, or the Democrats?
The Democrats do that to the people, where the
Yeah.
the waves of people who get voted in by Republicans seem to have more of an effect on the party. And I don't know if that's like fear. It seems to be very fear-based. Like, we'll run primaries against you. We'll get new people. You're replaceable. The Democrats have a very solid like seniority system.
Hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, as fucking noted by this 80-year-old saying skibbity.
Yeah. Well, and I
Running
think
for election
I mean,
2026.
the right has an easier time coalescing because they all effectively, believe the same shitty things, right?
That's a good
But
point too.
even when there is like, when you have something like MAGA that happened, or before that, the Tea Party, the right rewards winners. So like
Mm,
you can get in the club if you're a winner, even if you don't fully play by their rules. There's plenty of never Trump Republicans, the old guard neocons who do not like him, but he's a fucking winner, so they're going to keep him, you know?
yep.
And the Democrats do not reward that. They reward that like subservience. Even if you're a loser, it's better to bend the knee and lose,
Yeah.
than stand for anything outside of the purview of that party and win. They hate that. Like they really hate it. I mean, look at Ilhan Omar. Like they throw everything they can at her every election, and she still wins because she's popular actually in her constituency. Like that should say something to the
Hmm.
party of like, why is this person so bulletproof to them throwing millions and millions at her through opposition candidates, and she still wins. Like if she
Yeah.
was, if the shoe was on the other foot and she was a Republican, she'd be a darling of the party for that
Hmm.
reason because she's a fucking winner.
Yeah. And they understand PR and press too, I'd say, because they
Yeah.
love people who get camera attention, who get put on the news cycle. Democrats have no idea. Does it just come down to think tanks? Do Democrats just have shitty think tanks and Republicans have good ones? Is that really all it is?
Yeah, I was talking about this the other day too, because there's just, and we've said this before on the show too, like there's no punishment for being bad at your job as like a think tank or political advisor. Like they are consistently wrong, and it's like they don't care because they'll get hired again for the next fucking election. Like what other space in modern living does it exist that way that you can be that bad at your job consistently and you're still in the club?
I think this
Yeah.
is one reason it's hard for me to get excited about Bernie Sanders going out there and getting all these people to come to his rallies is I feel like it's false hope.
Yeah.
If it's actually going to be an ideological change in the party, and I applaud him for actually doing something, I
Yeah.
would support it. But I mean, I don't. I mean, he's one of the first people that endorsed Biden. I think, if
Yeah.
not the first,
The thing that's hard
Not in
about him
2020.
is
in 2024.
Oh, okay. I mean, yeah.
Just to be clarified, why I'm upset about the 2024 endorsement is he put no preconditions on the endorsement.
yeah.
Well, I mean, he was an incumbent. Did he even need an endorsement?
Yeah,
You
but it
know?
was at that time when there was arguments that Biden stepped down, that there should be a primary.
After the debate,
Pre,
pre-debate. I
yeah.
don't remember that conversation happening very thoroughly before the debate. I thought he was just shoot in. I mean, the primaries pretty much, I mean, I think they had concluded. So
Even after you saw him fall on the bike, even after the meandering
didn't
sentences.
that happen in 2020?
No, I think that was definitely after he was president,
I
right?
thought that happened like pretty early. I mean, I don't know.
Maybe
He
not.
may have fallen off several bikes.
Every moment he was on screen was like watching an
A
old man
blunder.
fall off a bike.
Yeah, that's true.
2022.
Okay. So,
Yeah.
yeah. No.
The bike fall was actually really sad to watch.
Yeah, it's
no one
horrible.
likes
I mean, it was
stuff
all
like
sad to
that.
watch. You know what am I saying? Like,
Yeah, the man was actively supported a genocide and is, in my estimated opinion, one of the, if not the worst politicians in a modern American history. But all that said, it's never nice to see like an 80-something-year-old fall. It's
no,
rough.
this is Gavin Newsom, and
Okay.
that is actually the title of the podcast. That's not me saying that. So, he invited Charlie Kirk onto his podcast. I thought it was the other way around. No.
Yeah.
I think you
Oh boy.
talked about that Cargill article where he talked about
Roll over and play dead.
roll over. But in essence, he
Well, I
said
think
that. I
that's
think
what
it
he
was a
said, though, right?
strategic
Yeah.
retreat,
Mhm.
right? That we need to come back. Trump's starting to implode. His numbers are getting soft. This was even before the tariff issues, et cetera. And then come back and strike when hot. And I immediately, no BS, thought about you, who's just 24/7 flooding the zone, owning this space, every day getting a convert, every day picking up 1, 2, 10,000 folks, continuing the momentum, coming out of this damn election. And then I'm thinking about, we're going to stand back and watch you run circles around us for 6 months, the next 2 or 3 years, waiting for the moment to finally strike. Struck me as not necessarily the best advice, and it's not a knock on Carville, who I have deep respect for. What's your
but
thoughts?
that's okay. So I don't have to. He's right about one thing in the last 40 years. It's economy's stupid, and boy, he spent down that one line pretty amazingly. Yeah, I hope you guys retreat.
Yeah, you kind of like the
more
advice.
for us.
You like
I mean,
the
there's
advice.
no opposition. There's no activist spark. You guys are posting these cringe videos on social media.
What are the videos? What are the ones?
I
that
don't
are
know,
most
this
cringy?
like harmonious thing of like 22 senators all saying the same
Oh, you
thing.
didn't like that, yeah.
I didn't like it. I
What
mean,
do you-
go
what do
ahead, go do more of that.
What do you do?
Please.
What do you do? Seriously, Charlie Kirk, give us some
Get
advice.
better ideas, Governor.
Reaction.
Yeah, I was trying to think about what I was going to say. I was watching it, and then Charlie Kirk said it for me. Yeah, flood the zone, like that congresswoman we just saw. No, never make content again is probably the good advice for the Dems if that's what they're turning out. Get better ideas, or I would amend that and say have ideas. You can't just churn out content with no ideas, like we just saw with being like, it's real Riz to twerk with the Dems. Like, what the fuck are you talking about? That's not a message. It's so patronizing to be like, what kind of slop do we need to feed to these pigs that are our voting base that's going to make them love us? How many fucking TikTok dances do we need to give to these human animals who we despise? It's like you You don't offer them anything.
The weird thing is that I imagine whoever her staff are must be youngish, right? To know that lingo. I don't know. And they think that this was a good idea. They thought that this was based.
I think they're 45 and have kids, and they're like, I don't know, this is what my
Yeah.
kid's saying.
I think they put it into ChatGPT and said, "Could you make this Zoomer?" And then that's what they got.
Yeah.
Yeah, my favorite line from that video is Dems understood the assignment, but go off.
Yeah, clearly not.
Yeah, yeah.
My initial reaction is like, ugh, why are we fucking talking to Charlie Kirk? And then I think, okay, this guy, there's something else he broke on. I think it was trans people in sports. Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
okay, well, Gavin is positioning more center to run for president in 2028. I was like, okay, that makes sense. Like he's already tactically like someone his think tank told him to make us start making a podcast.
Mhm.
Maybe he wants to be the Joe Rogan of the left. I have no idea.
I
I
think
think
it would be a great move for him to go on Rogan.
holy shit. Yes. That would be awesome.
He's trying to triangulate on the trans sports issue that everyone's so fucking obsessed with. I was thinking about that today. You know what's really crazy? Like, however you feel about the trans issue and the trans sports issue, like I don't think about it that often, but like
Right.
we've really put like sports associations like in a really tough spot. That it's like you decide what
Yeah.
constitutes a man or constitutes a woman. It's like
Our heads of
it's like
state can't, but
it's
No.
because I don't know. I actually don't have an answer to it other than the fact that I think people freak out about it too much. It's disproportionately talked about to the
yeah.
extent that it's happening, right? I mean, how many trans athletes are like on the wrestling team in high schools across America? It's not that many, but of course the
There's an
right
answer to that. The NCAA guy came on and talked about how many like situations actually exist. I think the answer was like 15
Yeah,
across all
it's like
college
nothing, and
sports.
it's we hear about it constantly, and obviously it's bullshit and it's obfuscation to rile up people on the right, and I think it's really unfair. But it's also I don't have an answer for what's the right way to address that with trans sports. I don't. I don't know, but like that's a rough place to put like the NCAA in is like, hey, you make the decision on one of the most pressing
Yeah.
societal arguments of the day.
Yeah. There
It's
should be a
fucking mean.
rule that like
It's rude.
Congress
It's rude that we're doing that to them. Like, that sucks.
that is a hilarious like way to put it. I've never thought about it, but it's like it's totally screwed the issue and putting it on this one guy.
Yeah, like they got to be in their offices being like, "Fuck, I don't want to do this."
Well,
No
yeah, they
matter.
don't want to do it, but then also that's all they want to do is talk about it. It's like immigration. Like they truly don't want to solve it, but all they want to do is talk about it.
Yeah, I mean, it's a
And
way.
I mean, both sides, yeah, it's like just a constant. And I think the Democrats, I think we'll see some shift now because the Democrats know that that's a losing position. They won't even
Yeah.
fight back on it. But the trans thing is like the transgender people in sports issue is, yeah, it's been way disproportionately talked about to what it affects just life in general. So I think there should be a rule where you can't eat up so much time in Congress talking about this shit. But there are like proportionately larger issues at play, and I think the Democrats put themselves in the corner here by making it such an identity politics issue, to where they can't back away now. Like this is
Yeah.
well, but also at the same time, I really don't think that they made it that big of an issue. I think the Republicans were grabbed it and it made it
Yeah.
a huge fucking
Forward.
bullseye on the back
Oh
of
yeah.
Democrats. That's all they talk about. They talk about it way more.
Well, that and the
Oh,
bathroom issue, right?
Well, it's all this. It's tied in. Yeah,
Yeah,
sports,
exactly.
trans everything. Yeah,
sports,
it's
bathrooms.
like
Yeah,
they
yeah.
love
And
talking about it.
yeah, well, it works really well because, as we've seen from beloved child author J.K. Rowling,
Mm,
they like that is an issue that just gets these people fucking frothing at the mouth, like with just white hot rage. It's
Yeah.
really extraordinary to see. I don't follow J.K. Rowling on Twitter, but sometimes she comes up on my feed.
Your
I think
algorithm,
again,
man.
yeah, the FBI algorithm that's trying to make me insane makes me see J.K. Rowling's thoughts, and they are the most like bloodthirsty, pilled up insanity of like just being so angry about trans stuff. It's like, Jesus Christ, you are a billionaire.
Yeah.
Why are you thinking about this?
She's a
Like,
great example of a person who, which I think kind of happened to Joe Rogan, but like pushed out. Her original view wasn't that crazy. Like she wrote like an
no.
op-ed or just kind of like, I don't know. I think there's like a difference between Chappelle even calls like a turf or something like that. I don't know, trans exclusionary
Yeah.
radical feminist. And then I eventually read it and I was like, oh, it's not as like bigoted as people make it out to be. But then she became like anti-left because everyone attacked her. And she does have fuck you money. So now she's kind of turned into this troll online. I don't know. It's a weird phenomenon to where like if
Yeah.
culture like ousts you, you just immediately like go to fucking seek therapy or something instead of just constantly rage tweeting. You have $1 billion. Like, how can you be that
Yeah.
upset?
With J.K. Rowling, it's sort of a Richard III type thing. It's like I am now determined to become a villain. It's like if this is the way you see me, then so I shall be. Like
Hmm.
yeah, because I remember when it first came out, I never read the article, but I was like, I don't know, I don't care that much. Like I think trans people should have equal rights and all of
Yeah,
that. I
of
don't think
course.
I don't think this should be this big an issue. And I think what's happening to the trans community right now in the United States is objectively awful. It just should have never been this big a deal. But yeah, like when I just remember her original opinion was kind of like, I don't want trans inclusion to come at the expense of like women in one way or another or whatever, which is like, okay, it's kind of, she's older, she's more traditional.
Yeah.
Women have had to go through entire movements to get the right to vote and to get the right to work and stuff. It's like, let's not discount them. But then
Hmm.
now when I see what she tweets, I'm like, Jesus Christ, woman, put down your fucking laptop.
Yeah.
It's just like, put them in camps. Like, okay. I don't know
Oh
if she
man.
actually said that, but the sentiment is there.
Yeah, there's still time. She'll get there.
Yeah.
Well, here's another thing. Just
Yeah,
last
yeah,
note
yeah.
on that. Is it because is she disconnected now because of the money, like the way Joe Rogan is, and the way like Elon is? Like they talk about people getting like the woke mind virus, but
Yeah.
is there like an opposite and equal effect there when you've just become so disconnected from like normal people that you cling onto these issues that you see normal people or just people in general and you think
Yeah.
that's like what all they think about, and so you react to
Yeah.
what you think they're thinking about?
Yeah,
I don't know.
absolutely. You have to like when you don't have real problems,
Yeah,
that must happen.
exactly.
Sure.
Yeah, and you literally live in a castle and you don't have to work and you don't have to think about anything. And also, this woman became a billionaire off the back of just like writing, like creating a great, children's Star Wars universe, basically.
Yeah.
So she kind of, aside from wherever those fucking toys are made, uh, kind of is like the only like ethical way to make $1 billion that I can think
Aside
of.
from where the
So,
toys are made.
there's probably some skeletons in the closet there. But like,
True.
yeah, so there's probably also a bit of a God complex
Yeah.
that comes
Yeah.
with that. How can there not? If you created Harry Potter, you must have an inflated ego that I can't even imagine.
Yeah, I'm sure she would have been rich off the book sales, but then there's like all the licensing deals and stuff. Like the movies, clearly, the theme park. Yeah, I bet she probably falls into that like I deserve every penny I made because I pulled
Hmm.
myself up by my bootstraps. She definitely comes across as that type of person.
Yeah, and if I was right about that, why wouldn't I be right about
True.
literally everything else?
Yeah, it comes down to ego in that
Mhm.
sense. That's a good point. Dan, were you about to bring something up?
Oh, just that I made a chat GPT generated Democrat senator video and Gen Z slang. Park, do you want to play the senator? And Ben, do you want to do the
Stage directions, I guess.
yeah, stage directions, yeah, or vice
All right,
versa.
just don't
We're
scroll
looking-
while you're doing it because it's hard to. It's a little laggy.
Okay, yeah.
All right.
Opening. Flash cuts of pop culture memes. Pedro Pascal eating a sandwich, girl math, Riz, side-eye baby, mixed with real-world issues, climate protests, LGBTQ rallies, student debt struggles, senator to camera.
Yo, Gen Z, let's cut the cap. This election, it's a whole main character moment, and you are the protagonist.
Quick cuts, breaking news, chaotic politicians, TikTok debates.
You care about the planet? Same. Sick of boomers playing Jenga with your future? Us too. Want to keep your rights, your money, and your sanity? Yeah, we're fighting for that.
Cut to sad trombone sound. Graph showing low Gen Z voter turnout.
But here's the tea. The people making the worst decisions for you are banking on you to stay home.
Zoom in. Dramatic sound effect.
But nah, you're not about to let that slide. We saw what happened when y'all pulled up last time. This is so bad. You shook the whole system. So let's do it again.
Cut to TikTok-style montage of young voters, memes. We did it, Joe clip.
Ooh. Here's the vibe. Text your bestie. Drag the whole situation ship up to the polls. Bring your whole roster. Vote like your whole Wi-Fi bill depends on it. Because your whole future kinda does.
Music builds. Hype montage of Gen Z voters. Protest clips. Happy crying memes.
Tag 3 friends who need to get their act together. Let's go full send. Let's make history. No excuses.
On-screen text. Vote. Share. Glow up your future.
This should resonate with some big time.
That made more sense
Yeah,
than the real
actually,
one.
got better. Hold on.
I thought it was kind of low on Gen Z slang though.
It's
Yeah.
not as densely packed as like,
Yeah.
because I think they were confusing a few things. They were, Dan, you brought it up that they were using slang wrong, which I'm sure they were, but I forget what it was. But it's like something skibbity. I'm like, I don't think skibbity is like used like that. But what the fuck do I know? Again, I'm neither of these generations.
Okay, hold on. I said make it more Gen Z. We just got to do it because it's what we might be looking for. This actually might get them to the polls, guys.
Opening flash cuts of absolute chaos. This is fine. Meme, NPC TikTokers, Stanley Cup fights, chaotic news clips, climate protests, gun reform rallies, girl dinner, plate of ramen noodles.
Senator to camera, standing like a TikToker about to drop the most unhinged take ever. Hey yo, Gen Z, we need to talk. No, for real, put down the iced coffee. This election, it's a whole side quest, and y'all are the main characters.
Cut to sad violin music, graph showing Gen Z voter turnout looking drier than the Sahara.
The people making the worst choices for your future, they are praying you stay home. Like full on my knees, Lord please energy.
Dramatic zoom in, red alarm, emoji flashing.
But I know y'all don't let ops win. We saw what happened when you pulled up last time. You said, let's make history, and did. So why stop now?
A lot of this sounds like a current Democrat, like, you know what happened last time. Jump cut, montage of Gen Z wins, climate protests, election victories, big social change moments, pop off tweets.
Sorry, just side note. Don't you guys love big social change moments?
Yeah.
I just like all these Gen Z wins that actually
Those are-
happened.
Yeah, those are my favorite.
Yeah.
My favorite wins and my favorite moments. All right, Senator. So here's the move. Drag your situationship to the polls, bribe your friends with Starbucks, make voting a core memory.
Yeah, I feel like it's actually just throwing emojis in here to like make it more Gen Z, but the language is still pretty shitty. Cut to POV. You and the squad pulling up to vote like it's the club.
Senator leans in, lowers voice. Bestie, you scroll for hours. I know you have time to vote.
Big flashing text. Vote like your Wi-Fi bill depends on it. Music builds, epic montage, ballad drops, high fives, people happy crying, random capybara for no reason, senator pointing at camera.
Tag 3 friends who need to get their life together. No mid-energy, no excuses. Let's go full send. Let's make history.
On-screen text, vote, share, gaslight, gatekeep, democracy. How does that make sense? Am I saying gaslight, gatekeep, democracy? Oh, because it's like gaslight, gatekeep, girl boss, but then they just shoved. Dan, give us the GPT summary.
This should hit hard with Gen Z. Let me know if you want even more chaos.
Wouldn't gaslight, gatekeep, government be better though? You just need the alliteration.
I think that,
Yeah, that's the whole point.
GPT needs to
The alliteration is the whole point.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's it. I mean, if there are any sitting U.S. Democratic Congress people, reach out. We will do your media campaigns.
Yeah.
Yeah. Someone out there's
Instagram-
desperate enough.
Instagram takeover for the day. I'd love that.
Oh, yeah.
I had an article, a sort of gut reaction I wanted to take a look at. I mean, I had a couple gut reactions, but there was one in particular.
Yeah.
Party drug MDMA may have protected survivors of the Nova attack from trauma, study suggests. It's a great drug for like PTSD. So I don't it's a weird thing to associate with this tragedy, but I don't know if it works like that proactively, you know. But maybe if I was in that state, isn't there like a state associated like thing? Like now every time you start to feel like loose and good and love everything around you, you're worried that some dude is gonna come in on a hang glider and shoot you.
I feel like I'd have some kind of like internal trigger if that were to happen anytime I did drugs afterwards.
Right. The come up would be fucking terrible.
Yeah.
And then you're just like back to feeling the best you've ever felt in your entire life.
I don't mean this as like critical, but I'm wondering if it's kind of like if you're drunk and you get in a car accident, if it's one of those situations where you're a little more loose and
You're loose, yeah.
Okay. I could see it. Or you're just not forming the memories in the same way that your brain would when you're, if I'm sure if I were, willing to read this entire article and not just laugh at the the weird clickbait headline. So did they grab everyone and just start like interviewing them? Like,
Yeah,
are you
so
taking MDMA?
yeah, so a bit of context. This is from the BBC, and it's I mean, it's the BBC, which is one of the worst perpetrators, especially over in the United Kingdom, as far as Hasbara is concerned. So a lot of the article is, peddling the same lines that we hear from everyone about these poor people who just wanted to be at a peace and love music festival outside of a concentration camp, and bringing in the fact that the ones who were on MDMA and they also mention LSD and magic mushrooms as well, seem to, I'll just read this. So, as dawn approached on morning of 7 October 2023, many of the partygoers at the Nova Music Festival near Gaza's border took illegal recreational drugs like MDMA or LSD. Hundreds of them were high when, shortly after sunrise, Hamas gunmen attacked the site. Now neuroscientists working with the survivors from the festival say there are early signs that MDMA, also known as ecstasy or Molly, may have provided some psychological protection against trauma. The preliminary results, currently being peer-reviewed with a view to publication in the coming months, suggest that the drug is associated with more positive mental states, both during the event and in the months afterwards. The study carried out by scientists at Israel's Haifa University could contribute to a growing scientific interest in how MDMA might be used to treat psychological trauma. So, yeah, in a nutshell, at this Nazi music festival that was attacked mostly by the IDF. Let's remind ourselves that no mention of the Hannibal Directive in
The Nazi musical festival.
so so they've done. I think that those opening remarks are really telling too, because this article is useless, first of all, because this is all preliminary to a study that has not been
Yeah.
peer-reviewed or tested or obviously published. So basically, the long and the short of the article is they interviewed people, and it seemed that quite a few of them who were high on Molly during the music festival when the blast started are having a better time than people who weren't on it. So the scientific angle of it is pretty fucking flimsy.
Yeah, I would say there's also bias there for people who aren't taking drugs at a festival are probably more uptight
Yeah,
and
probably
prone
nerds.
to, yeah,
Yeah.
I kind of feel like this is
Yeah.
like the back door to like get MDMA legalized in
which I'm
the
for.
UK.
Let's go.
I got to send this to Peter Hitchens. He's a huge anti-drug
That's unfortunate.
campaigner, so he'll love this.
We know that Israel and Gaza are both kind of a canary in the coal mine to see what they can get away with in the rest of the world as far as, state repression, surveillance, stuff like that. Now we're kind of testing the waters to see like, hey, maybe a stoned citizenry can tolerate more state-sponsored trauma if they're high on
Damn.
MDMA.
I like where you're going, Ben.
Yeah,
Yeah, instead of fluoride, they just put some MDMA in the water.
Yeah,
Yeah, my
we're all
mind went immediately there's like drug use during war, like, like meth to the Nazi soldiers.
Mhm.
I'm sure there's also a place for all this drug research, not just to help with PTSD, but to like get people to go along and not care, or like, be a little more passive. There's always a place for that
yeah.
in government research. So a little bit further down, I was curious just about how they got these people, what the sample size was. The research tracked the psychological response of more than 650 survivors from the festival. Two-thirds of these were under the influence of recreational drugs, including MDMA, LSD, marijuana, or psilocybin. So two-thirds of 650 people, which I don't know how big this festival was. I'm sure it's a lot larger, but to like reach out or get 650 people to like reply to this neuroscience like study, it's kind of interesting. Oh, it says right here, 3,500 people. So we found out that two-thirds of 650 people were criminals at this festival doing illegal drugs. So,
Lock them up.
as a hardliner against crime, I just think we really need to evaluate whose side we're on.
Yeah, I feel like the people who aren't on drugs. I don't feel like you have an actual control population for this study because again, when you're talking about people's response to violent trauma, again, we're talking about a people who are very comfortable having a music festival outside of and doing LSD and MDMA outside of a concentration camp. So, maybe their trauma response to, I don't know, a normal person from a country that doesn't do that might be lowered anyway.
Yeah.
Good point.
I mean, I don't want to rip on these people too hard. Most of the things I said were satire. Feel bad for innocent people dying. I was being somewhat satirical, but I mean, I think Ben, you do have somewhat of a point. I mean, there's probably some desensitization within the culture in general, but I think it's way different when it happens to you. I don't think there's any like desensitized when like you're the victim of something, which I think is what we see is like the double standard of like this is so fucked up.
Yeah, and again, not discounting the trauma. It must be terrifying to have the IDF just gunning you down from a helicopter.
Hold on, hold on. I have to. Are you talking about? Are you saying that the IDF flew over this festival and just shot into the crowd like as the hang gliders were coming in, or were you saying that they
I don't know
did
if they
not
were
want hostages? So during the rescue attempts, they were killing people.
Well, I think that's been admitted. Like
That's been
Yeah,
the
well,
admitted.
helicopters,
I
that's
don't know.
right?
wow. I don't know if
I don't.
admitted, but it's known. Like it's
I don't know if it was literally a helicopter, but yes, more every day we're finding out more and more of these people were not killed by Hamas fighters or the Qassam Brigade. They were killed by the IDF. So I think that's a fair statement to make.
speculative, I would say. I agree, like the Hannibal Directive and all that. It's known, it's a policy,
We know it
but
was used.
I don't think it was used as like a first strike on the festival, is what I'm saying.
Interesting. So Haaretz was the first outlet, looks like, to make the claim about the IDF shooting Israeli civilians.
I'm sure I'm gonna get it wrong, but like, yeah, there were people taken hostage in houses, and they just like fucking took tanks to them, right? Like they did.
Yeah.
There was like no regard. That's a fact.
Dan, right? They did fire on the music festival as well. People
I
from
thought
the
that was
music
admitted.
festival, eyewitness.
They
Yeah,
they
yeah,
bombed
that
hospital. I didn't know that. That's news to me.
eyewitnesses from the music festival attested to this.
I
Anyway,
mean,
I mean, we
this
don't
is
have to
this
belabor
is a
the point.
military unit that bombs hospitals. So
Yeah, I mean, is anything really beyond the pale for them?
yeah. So
So this is from NPR, from Performing Arts. Hamilton cancels planned Kennedy Center performances. The hit musical Hamilton is canceling its 2026 run at the John F. Kennedy Center for the Performing Arts in Washington, D.C. This is in response to President Trump's decision to take over the art institution last month. According to a statement by Hamilton producer Jeffrey Seller on X, quote, the recent purge by the Trump administration of both professional staff and performing arts events at or originally produced by the Kennedy Center flies in the face of everything this national center represents. The statement goes on to explain that the move to cancel was a business decision, as it would have been, quote, financially and personally devastating to the employees of Hamilton if the new leadership of the Kennedy Center suddenly canceled or renegotiated our engagement. It's not actually a protest thing at all. It's just bad business.
I thought it was a protest thing.
it could be that, but guys, under the guise of like, there could be a reason that they get out of the contract for certain reasons, but not another. I don't even know if there's contract, but probably is. I take their word for like why they're leaving a bit. I think that's a bit flimsy. Like I think they'll say whatever they need to quit. How would it be financially devastating though? Just because people aren't going to show up because of
People are probably boycotting it.
Gotcha.
Anything that's going on, and I work in the theater. Theater people can bitch all they want. I think Donald Trump is going to usher in a new golden era of American theater.
So my
He is
thought
going to-
was when
We have
sorry,
not had a Phantom of the Opera up until now. Film,
It-
music, theater, everything is going to get better under Trump. The man knows entertainment.
you
You
think
should
Ben
trust him.
Shapiro's play or musical is going to come to? I think that's almost guaranteed to come to
No,
the Kennedy Center.
No, I think the opposite. I think Donald Trump, if he sees it, is going to be like, this sucks. And he's going to be like, it's not good enough.
It's so bad that his reality
Yeah.
distortion can't
Yeah.
properly. Yeah.
He's not
That's
an
sad.
ideologue when it comes to show tunes. He knows a good show tune when he hears one, and he's gonna
This
he's
comes
gonna
up
cross
into
the line.
every episode.
yeah, he's gonna correctly see that Ben Shapiro is ass at writing songs, and he's gonna be like, no good.
Yeah, he's gonna publicly disown Shapiro, which would be hilarious.
I mean, I don't know. This isn't surprising, and also I don't care because fuck Hamilton, fuck that shitty musical. I know that people love it. I hate the message of it, and I hate the reverence that we have for this sort of allo history that all of the founding fathers were woke.
Yeah.
And that Alexander Hamilton, the founding father who brought us like centralized banking, is some sort of folk
Yeah.
hero. Fuck them and fuck
I know.
fuck them and fuck Lin-Manuel Miranda. I have one more, and then we can wrap.
All right, the headline. Secret CIA base mistakenly exposed in Doge government building sell-off. One of the canceled leases is a building housing more than 35,000 items gathered by Barack Obama's family during his 8 years in office. Ooh, spicy. All right.
The original breaking news for it was that it was a CIA black site.
Hmm.
And then, of course, the CIA said that it was not a black site. It was just a, housing records or whatever, which definitely means it was a black site.
Right, right. What's in the records?
The records are about that guy who gave Obama a blowjob and smoked crack with him in a limousine.
Oh, right, him. Yeah.
What?
Oh, speaking of, we need to get Casey Game back on to talk about how Obama never attended Columbia.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah, I've got all day for his Obama conspiracies. They're hilarious.
Yeah, yeah.
The thing I just like about this is we've had all these stories of like these Doge Zoomers like storming offices and being like, we're checking your records, you know, that sort of thing. And I just like the image of them actually going into, you know, Guantanamo Bay and being like, show us
Like,
your file.
Men like just actively being shocked with car batteries.
Yeah.
What do you do? Oh God. Oh God.
Yeah.
What'd you do last week?
Yeah, all of those Doge edgelords are like currently being waterboarded right now.
It went horribly wrong.
That's fantastic. That's great imagery, Ben. I love that.
This has been Voting for All Seasons, Season 2, Episode 8. I'm Dan.
I'm Andrew.
I'm Ben.
We are